So let's say we know that the GTX 1060 will push 93 frames per second in Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor at 1080p. But I don't have the card to test it, and I can't find any benchmarks online. So what I do is I compare the number of pixels between the two resolutions and use that factor to determine the FPS. Since a 4K image has 4 times the pixels of a 1080p image, and FPS has an inverse relationship to resolution, then at 4K the 1060 should be able to put out a quarter of the FPS as it does in 1080p, which is about 23. But that's not the case. According to real-world results, the number is closer to 36. Why is that? To understand this, you have to understand how the frames are being rendered, how each image is created by the graphics card. When a developer makes an object, a person, whatever they're making in a game, that's not just a picture. It has an internal structure, a skeleton, that isn't seen, and as well as hundreds of individual polygons that make it up. This invisible skeleton is used by the graphics card to know where to place the textures and everything else that it puts onto the model when it renders it in-game. It's really easy to see this in 3D modeling software. Here's a model I made in Blender. If I switch the view, you can see the skeleton. This inner rigging determines what direction each limb can turn. If we look at this one, you can see all the shapes that make up the inner geometry of the model. All of the rigging and inner polygons are all made up of one-dimensional lines. So they take the same exact amount of time to render regardless of the resolution that you're playing at. Now that's one reason. Another reason is textures themselves. The textures are preloaded images that are pasted onto the models in-game. When you turn up the game resolution, it's still loading those same textures onto the models, and then it renders that at the higher resolution. You can change the resolution of the textures with the texture pack, and assuming these are higher resolution than the default ones, you will see a drop in frame rate. But even if you do that, the textures themselves are still independent of the resolution you choose to run the game at. Let's go back to Blender. If I turn the resolution down to 480 by 270, the render takes 13.42 seconds. With 64 times the number of pixels, a 4K render should take 14 minutes and 19 seconds. But it doesn't. It only takes 6 minutes and 42 seconds. This is because regardless of the pixels rendered, the GPU still has to sort through all of the polygons and everything underneath, and this takes the same exact amount of time regardless of the resolution. So what's going on is only a portion of the render time is being impacted by the actual resolution, while everything else stays the same. If we could isolate the exact proportion of the workload that is dependent on resolution, then we could factor only that value and then add in the extraneous workload afterwards to get a more accurate estimate. In games, these skeletons and polygons and textures are being rendered over and over and over again for 100 different objects in the game for each frame. And so the disparity shows up in frame rate instead of frame time. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next video.